Hi, I'm Mike with MacSales.com, and today we're taking a look at the 2016 MacBook Pro models. It's been a little while since they've been released. That's what makes it the perfect time, because the initial hype is over, so we can get some good observations on what these things are capable of. In this three-part video series, we'll detail what's new, model pricing and options, discuss the new design, dive into the capabilities, tackle USB-C Thunderbolt 3 ports, look at some interesting expansion options, talk about the storage workflow paradigm, and detail some computer purchasing options you might want to consider. So let's dive into the new design. The new MacBook Pro 2016 models feature all new everything, all the way down to the keyboard and trackpad. Featuring a much thinner, stronger design, there's less flex to it when you're holding it, and it feels substantially stronger than the previous generation. The Retina display is better too, with more color, more brightness, and more contrast. You can actually see the difference when you first look at the screen. The SSD storage is faster, like 2x faster. Though on all models except the cheapest alternate base model, the SSD is integrated into the motherboard, which means what you get now is what you'll have internally for the life of the machine. They're updated with i5 and i7 Intel processors, with dual cores in the 13-inch models and quad cores in the 15-inch models. They feature faster GPUs, and a new touch bar with integrated Touch ID sensor. A new keyboard, which is an improved version of the super short throw butterfly keyboard that was first featured back in the 2015 MacBooks. A much larger trackpad, and the most controversial change, nearly all the ports and plugs have been removed and replaced with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports. Only the headphone jack got to stay. All that comes with a higher price tag too. The 15-inch MacBook Pro starts at $2399, a 20% price increase at $400 more than the previous generation. The 13-inch model starts at $1799, which is a 38% increase at $500 more than the previous base model. But there's now a reduced feature set version of the 13-inch model at $1499. That has 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports instead of 4 found in the better units. It's still $200 more expensive than the previous base model, and it features standard function buttons instead of the new touch bar with Touch ID. With that base model, you also get a slower processor, slower GPU, and slower memory. Design-wise, these are perhaps the best looking MacBook Pro models to date. The industrial design is definitely a step up from the previous generation. All MacBook Pro models are now available in space gray or silver. The display hinge that was previously all plastic is now metal. The new keyboard with its short throw keys looks sleeker than the previous generation, and while it takes a little time to get used to the new keys, they really feel great. Although if you're really used to the previous keyboard style, it can take actually a little while to get used to the new keys, like up to a month. The new touch bar with Touch ID replaces the function keys with a single black row atop the physical keys, while the more affordable base model retains the standard function keys. The touch bar is actually a nice surprise for a few people here. For apps that utilize the touch bar, it simplifies or enhances how you interact with the computer. It's very intuitive and most certainly not a gimmick. And having the Touch ID sensor enabling Apple Pay for websites that support it is just awesome. The touch bar is very customizable, so you can make it work the way you need. Since it's so new, it's got some quirkiness to it. Buttons are occasionally out of sync and so on. Hopefully nothing future software updates won't fix them. The trackpad on the new MacBook Pros is gigantic. With 3D touch integration and the new haptic feedback click versus physical click, it's definitely an upgrade over the previous generation. What's even more though, is that the new trackpad's so big it overlaps in your palm resting area while you type, but the trackpad completely ignores your resting palm. The edge design sports very clean lines with a precision that's so very Apple. The port labels are now gone, leaving an ultra Spartan aesthetic. Thickness has been reduced on the previous generation, along with the width and the depth. The 15-inch model still feels like a 15-inch model laptop when you're carrying it around. If you're looking for portability, the 13-inch might be more to your liking. Design-wise, you get that sleek, precise, and somewhat timeless aesthetic Apple is known for. Not a massive departure, but definitely better. The small differences are even more pronounced after you get used to the new model and then step back to the previous generation. Alright, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, about the new 2016 MacBook Pros. And that's when they were released, a lot of Macophiles just went crazy on these machines, and not in a good way. The complaints were well documented on YouTube and other media outlets, with the main contentious items being the replacement of all standard interface ports with the very new, but very fast, USB-C Thunderbolt 3 ports. Adding fuel to that fire was a new higher pricing structure and the gripes about the upgradability of the SSDs and the memory. There was so much backlash. Apple's Phil Schiller, SVP of Worldwide Marketing at Apple, addressed that backlash in an interview with The Independent. In that interview, he said, and I quote, "So far, our online store has had more orders for the new MacBook Pro than any other Pro notebook before. But I think Apple is constantly trying to push the boundaries of design and capability, that sometimes it won't be a perfect match for everybody. And it's quite frankly no big deal. If it's not for you, that's okay. There's always other options. There's always some type of other upgrade path or expansion option that might either make these work for you or might make something else work for you even better." Make no mistake though, these are some powerful laptops with capabilities that were previously only available in the Mac Pro. Was all of the hysteria warranted? Some of it, yes. In some cases, no. It helps know that some consumers and media outlets are anti-Apple everything. It just doesn't matter with them. And some of it's also content strategy. If everyone says product Y is good, then saying product Y is bad to get you more clicks. But to cast aside the hysteria as clickbait or media bias doesn't give Mac enthusiasts their due. Apple's long been making their Mac enthusiast fan base upset. They get downright frustrated. Because over the last few years, they've offered more closed-off systems with minimal or costly upgrade paths, and in some cases, no upgrade path. Sometimes it's these new features and technologies that'll force pros to have to rework their workflow, and they don't want to rework their workflow. They want their original workflow that works just fine to just be enhanced by the new machine. If the new machine caused you to buy a bunch of other things to make your workflow work, that machine might not be working for you. In part 2 of this video series, we'll look at some of the capabilities of the new MacBook Pro and dig into the Thunderbolt 3 ports. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.